Hello fantastic people, I hope you are doing great. Today I would like to show you my ways of creating different types of trees in Blender. Okay, so here I have empty Blender scene. What I do, I will start by adding cube. I will go to the edit mode by pressing tab. I move it in Z axis a little bit. So this way the origin point is at the very bottom of the tree, so at its base, not in the middle. Now I select the top face. Actually, let's still keep all selected. I scale it down a little bit in X and Y axis. Then I select the top face and scale it down a little bit. Now I see the base is still a little bit too wide, so I'm going to select it too and scale it down a little bit. And this one again a little bit. Awesome. Now I'm going to add two edge loops and then select this one and rotate it a little bit one way and then the other one the other way. So this will give it a little bit of more like organic look. And now let's scale them down a little bit, because if we offset the rotation a little bit, they will seem to be a little bit wider. So this way it looks a little bit better in my opinion. So now we have the tree trunk and we can start creating the leaves. So first we'll create a simple pine tree. So what I'm doing, I'm selecting the top face, extruding it up and scaling it. Maybe a little bit too much. Now I'm moving it down and this face will annoy me a little bit. So what we can do, we can delete it. And now we have those faces. Just the problem is that now those faces are facing upwards. What I mean is basically if we have a look and somewhere here there is face orientation. Oh look, they actually oriented the right way. I don't know how it happened, but it's alright. Basically what red means is that those faces are facing inwards, so like inside the model, and the blue ones mean that it's facing out, so the correct way. Awesome, so nothing to worry about. So what I'm doing now, I'm going to select this edge loop, move it down a little bit, maybe rotate it slightly. Awesome. Then I'm going to extrude them up, lock it in Z, scale it down, rotate it, again extrude it, scale it, and maybe rotate it other way around. Then I'm going to extrude it again, scale it, move down, and I will repeat that several times. So again, a little bit of rotation, scaling, extruding, scaling, rotating. Actually, this one also could be rotated a little bit. Then selecting this one. Again, extruding, scaling, moving down, then moving up, scaling, and here we want to make it pointy, so this one will be a little bit longer. And here now we have open hole here, so what we do, we just press F to fill it with face. Now I see that this is a little bit too wide, so I'm selecting this loop and scaling it down a little bit, and this looks pretty nice. So I'm going to, oh actually I have already selected the view that will show the materials to. So I'm going out of the edit mode by pressing tab. I'm going to the material properties and I'm going to create two different materials. So first one will be the tree trunk. I hope it's spelled with U, not with A. Okay, now let's select nice color. In general, the pine trees are a little bit dark and brown, so let's make something maybe here and maybe a little bit still darker. Yes, I think something like that will do it. Now we see it's shiny, so I'm changing the specular to 0 and roughness to maximum. Just please bear in mind that those properties will not be moved to Unity. So you'll unfortunately have to create new materials for them. There is a way around that. You could basically create textures with colors, then export them with those textures and so on, but I think this is, for low poly stuff, this is sometimes too much hassle. And I personally prefer to create my materials in Unity then. So now I select it, go to edit mode, press Shift Z to see the wireframe, and I'm selecting the top face, and then I'm pressing Control and plus on the numpad multiple times to select all the loops. Then I'm just creating new material. Let's call it pine tree leaves, and then first let's assign it, then let's go out of the wireframe, and then let's change the color to something green. But again, the pine trees are usually, depending on the type of pine tree, but usually they're kind of a little bit more going into the blue spectrum, so it's not pure green, like very warm one, but rather cold one. So something like that maybe. Awesome. So once again, I'm removing all the specular and setting roughness to full, and we have our first pine tree. If you prefer it smooth, you can click on it and then change smooth. But for low poly, I usually think it looks better just as with flat shading. So now let's just duplicate this one, move it a little bit in Y, and let's make another, maybe not variation, but a little bit more detailed version. So I'm adding the loop over here and loop over here. Then I'm going to select this face, extrude it a little bit, scale it down, move it here, and over here the same thing. So now we have a little bit of more branches. Now maybe let's enable the proportional editing, and let's maybe change the sizes a little bit so we have another variation, so something like that over here. Then maybe a little bit of rotation as well, change. Then let's select this one, move it up a little bit, and they are looking slightly different. Now what we can do, we can also add edge loops over here. Whoops, what did I do? Oh, awesome. And now I can select, let's disable proportional editing, select those ones, whoops, move them up a little bit, same here, and same here. And we have nice variation of the tree. Now let's create another one from this one, and let's add snow on top of it. So the easiest way, we can go two ways around. We can do it, I think, two ways. So first one, the simplest one would be we could just change the material on the top faces, and this would probably work. But I think we could also add a little bit of extra geometry. So I'm going to add a little bit of extra edge loops over here, and then move those vertices a little bit, like, you know, a little bit up and things like that. So just to give it a little bit of more volume. Here. That will do it. And I think again, I can select those 4 faces. And then Shift plus, whoops, Control plus 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 plus. And yeah, we can select the down faces because they shouldn't be covered by snow. Here, here. And now we can create a new material for them. So over here, and let's call it snow, assign it, and we have our snowy pine. Now I think we can actually make it not white, but a little bit in the blue spectrum, or something maybe over here. Yeah, that will do it, I think. Awesome. So let's also copy this one. And let's do a similar thing. So here, let's go easy without increase. Oh, maybe. Let's do slightly different thing. So once again, let's select the top face, or now there is a small trick. We can select this one, right? So the leaves, and just click over here, select, and we'll select all the faces with this material. Now I'm clicking or pressing Ctrl T to triangulate those faces, and you see automatically some extra geometry was created for me. And now I'm going just to move it around a little bit, or even I can enable the proportional editing. Go to random and just move it slightly. Just you have to be careful here because what may happen, you may have the problem with faces or vertices overlapping each other and going the wrong directions, and this may cause some ugly places and strange artifacts, the faces facing the wrong directions and so on. So this looks pretty much all right, I think. Yep. Also, if you need some extra geometry because you think like this, the bottom one, the last ring of leaves is kind of boring. So what we can do, we can press K and do some extra cuts. Usually this is very bad practice because you're breaking the geometry, but the thing is, when you do low poly stuff, and especially if you're not going to animate it or anything like that, this is usually fine, I think. So let's just disable the proportional editing, move that up a little bit, and we have another beautiful tree. So once again, we can now, just the problem is that if we select this face and try to do the thingy with Ctrl plus, it will not always work the way we would like it to, because yeah, this time it worked pretty well, but the thing is the geometry changed and the loops are not always perfect anymore. So for example, if I would like to press Alt and just select, you see, I'm not selecting any loops because basically the loops don't exist anymore. So let's go back to selecting everything. Let's deselect the bottom faces. So here is a little bit of manual step, unfortunately. I'm sure there is a better way of doing that. If you know how to do it better, please let me know in the comment. Here and over here. Awesome. And now let's add another material. Let's select the snow and assign. And we have two trees. Awesome. Okay, so now completely different way of creating trees. So I'm just changing the view. Now I'm creating a cube, moving it over here. Oops, I'm in edit mode. Let me just change back to object mode, and now create the cube, move it to better place, maybe even a little bit further. Now I'm changing to edit mode, selecting everything by pressing A, then pressing M, and merge at center. This will basically just turn it all into one single vert. If you have enabled the, I think, extra objects add-on, you can simply create new single vert. So this is as simple as that, but in case you don't, this way you can create a single vert. Now let's extrude it. Whoops, I don't think now I changed to vertex mode, select it, and now let's extrude it several times, maybe here, here, and this will do it. And now basically what we do, we extrude those ones as well. So we create branches. And now, depending on the type of tree you create, you may want to have different shape of the branches, different directions, and so on, so on. So for that, you may want to do some extra research because different trees basically have different branches layout. So yeah, you definitely need to do that. Then I'm going to move a little bit to the side, so by pressing 6 on the numpad, so not all the branches are in the same direction. So like that, over here. You also don't want to create them everywhere because that will be a little bit too busy then. Okay, over here maybe. Let's create this one. Let's maybe move again a little bit over here. Am I creating? No, I'm creating it from the branch. So over here. Okay, then again. Yeah, I think that will do it. Then I go to the modifiers tab and add the skin modifier. This looks terribly ugly, so I select everything, press Ctrl A, and this allows me to kind of scale it. So now I want to, and this is a little bit manual work, unfortunately, but I would like to select only the top vertices, so like the ends of the branches. So let's just, if you miss one or something, it's not end of the word. It will be visible, so it's easy to fix it later. And you see it's not that bad actually. So over here, and then I want to enable the proportional editing with the smooth mode, and basically again press Ctrl A and just scale them down a little bit. So it doesn't look that bad. Now let's maybe scale it a little bit to just then move up. Yeah, I think it looks all right. Maybe a little bit more up. Scale it a little bit. Yeah, now the size is kind of consistent with the rest of the trees we have. So like that. And now what we can do, we can select the bottom one, press Ctrl A and scale it up a little bit, and the same for those ones. So those places that join the branches, we can scale a little bit too. You just have to be careful because sometimes the skin modifier creates this empty places. So you have to think two ways of fixing that. You either can try to scale it up, down, or something like that, or you can try to move this one or move the branches a little bit, and usually that works pretty well. So in general, you just need to modify the geometry there a little bit. Okay, and I think this works pretty well. This looks all right. And now we simply assign the tree trunk material, and done. And we have tree. So now let's duplicate it, and let's cover it with snow. So once again, we go to the edit mode. Okay, so for that to work, what we have to do, first we have to go to the properties. And now what we have to do, we have to apply the skin modifier. Now this created crazy a lot of unnecessary geometry. So what we can do to remove it, actually let's do the same for this one. So, or maybe not yet, because we can then create a easy variation. So let's get this one. Then we add the decimate modifier, we change to the, you have to be in object mode to see what is happening, but I also changed the wireframe view, so Shift Z, and now I can basically see how this affects it. So basically you see I'm just changing the ratio to smaller, and here you have to be pretty careful because you see it collapses some stuff, also not the way we would like to see. So for example, there are some places which you see, for example, this becomes pointy and things like that. So another way, instead of collapse, is using the subdivide, and we can use the iterations, but again, it will not always work. It depends on the geometry you have. So here you see. Nope, and planner, I think this actually may work the best, because what it is, how it works is basically you set the angle, and based on the angle of those things, or between faces, it will determine if it should be removed or not. So I think this is actually the best way in this case of doing that. So let's do that, and let's apply that. Now we go to edit mode, and we select the top faces. Again, I'm sure there is a better way of doing that. I'm sure you can somehow select all the actually, maybe let's go to the top. Let's see what will happen if I do that. Yeah, almost there. So you see, I can just deselect several faces, and I believe this might actually be even a little bit faster. Magic. So, well, that, no, we don't need that. We don't want that. Whoops. Yeah, that's one big face now. So the sides, yeah, we don't want that. We want this one definitely. I don't know if that was quicker. So let's just remove those ones. Yeah, but I think the magic of that is that it will give us a little bit of this random look as well. So it's not that bad that we selected too many faces. Okay. If we find later on that we don't like something, we can easily fix it. So we selected the top faces, or the ones that we want to put snow on. What we can do now, we can either simply, so let's do first one like that. So first variation, let's put just a snow on that, click assign, and we are done. So that's the first one. Then for the second one, what we can do, we can just copy this one, so duplicate it, going back to edit mode. Now we can select all the ones, all the faces covered with snow. So let's click select. Awesome, but once again, yep. And now what we can do, we can try to extrude them a little bit, but now we want to extrude individual faces. So I press Alt E, select this one, and move it up a little bit. Then I'm scaling it down a little bit by pressing S. Just I need to go out of the proportional editing, so I press O and then scale it. Now again, I need to change one more setting. So over here, instead of the median point, so at this point, this mode tries to find a middle point between them and scales the around that point. So I want to change that to individual origins, and now each face is scaled like on its own. And now I scale it down a little bit. And it may be alright, sometimes you may scale a little bit too much, so again, you have to be pretty careful with that, but I think it looks not that bad. I see that we missed this face, so we can do cover it with snow, scale it a little bit, and then do that. Now those were not covered, so let's select them. Whoops. And then, yeah, all good. Assign, beautiful. Yeah, it's actually not that bad. I like it. So I said we can easily create another variation using this one. So let's just duplicate this one, not Shift X, Shift D. Move it over here. Am I in object mode? Yes. And now what we do, we go to wireframe mode, enable the proportional editing, change to vertex mode by pressing 1, and we basically just wiggle around those different branches. Now, with proportional editing, you can just make it smaller, bigger, using the scroll wheel. So yeah, so just then maybe rotate everything, then maybe just select this part and rotate it, then select this part, rotate it. Just you get it, probably, just so it doesn't look the same. Then we can create some extra branches. So over here, over here, over here. Beautiful. We can press, we can select vertices if you want to get rid of them, and press Ctrl X, and that will dissolve them. So over here I've done that. Then maybe also this one. If it's at the edge, Ctrl X will not work because you cannot dissolve the edge. So just press X and remove the vertex. So that's how I've done that. Now I'm moving this one a little bit over here, and let's maybe do actually let's move it here, just something like that maybe, so it has a little bit variation. Awesome. Now I go back to the object mode. I duplicate it again because I may want to modify it later. Then I apply the skin modifier, I put the decimate, then I go to planner, Shift Z to see the wireframe, and modify it to have as little faces as I want. Just again, you cannot go too crazy because you see suddenly at a certain point it just goes wild and creates things you don't want there. So I think around, will that work? Yeah, it's much better than this, so not that bad. Okay, so let's keep that. Let's apply it, and then again let's duplicate it, and then again go to face mode, select the top faces, there should be a way of selecting by UV or something. Okay. Yeah, also just remember you don't have to do it perfectly because in nature nothing is perfect. I mean, you are perfect, but beside you nothing is perfect. So yeah, you don't have to worry about making it too exact, and if you miss a face or two, nobody's going to notice and you're going to sleep nicely. I see that we have some strange geometry over here, but let's have a look there in a second after we put the snow on the top. Yeah, I think that will do it. Maybe that. Yeah, that will be all right. Now, again, materials, add material, snow, apply. Awesome. Now I had some strange things over here. So first thing I want to see are the directions of faces. So let's do that. Yeah, so you see we have some strange things here. So what we can do first, the easiest fix is press A to select everything, and then Shift N to recalculate faces. It will not always work because not always the geometry will support that. So we may need to go here and see what's that there. So you see we have the empty place here. So you can select those edges, whoops, and press F to fill that. And the same here. You see that's what's happening if you are too lazy and just don't check what's happening. Whoops, I selected the wrong faces. So let's first make a little bit of cleanup. So remove those ones, faces, Then we select those ones, press F. Then over here, yeah, there's still a gap, so let's remove this one. And I think we need to remove this one, exactly, yeah, there's a little bit of things going wild over here. So we can select those ones, press M, and merge them at the last one. Ooh, beautiful. So this already solved one problem. Then we see we have here some wild thing going on, so maybe let's clean up those faces. Let's remove them. Let's remove those faces inside, and then we'll just quickly fix them. So over here, yeah, the screen modifier does that all the time. And this one over here. Awesome. So now I have pretty clean edges. I can select them, press F. The same here, press F. Select here, press F, and this is fixed. Now let's quickly have a look here. Here it looks a little bit better because I have it only from one direction. Yeah, so we have only this face inside and this face inside. Yeah, you just unfortunately have to learn how to see that with those dots inside, or you see, I think I am looking wrong. So let's, yeah, I think it's all right now. Though I feel there is this face which is inside. I don't know. Let's leave it like that. Nothing terrible going to happen. Again, we're not going to animate it. In case you are wondering what will happen if you have wrong faces and things like that, basically, usually when you apply shaders and things like that, they may not work as you expect. They may look ugly, shading the same. So yeah, let's just move things around, and this will, you see, and now we have this, and it's pretty all right. So awesome. So we could do the same thing with this, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to go out of the face orientation. This one is a little bit simpler, right? It's exactly the same tree, just without the snow. So I'm deleting this one, duplicating it, and now I'm just selecting all, or even just going to edit mode, selecting everything, putting the tree trunk material, and it's all done. So now this is fixed. This is fixed. Now let's move it over here again, and let's select all the snow ones. Let's change the mode to face mode, and let's either extrude the individual faces or extrude faces along normals. This will give you different outcome, so you have to experiment a little bit. Then the best way is again pressing Ctrl+ to select those new faces around on the sides and assigning snow to them as well. Or even before you do that, you can scale those ones down and then press Ctrl+ and then assigning snow to them. And this should, yeah, looks pretty good too. Awesome. So we have those trees, and maybe let's make some cleanup, save the file and export it and import it to Unity. So first I'm going to save the file, save as, and let's call it the trees. Awesome. Now I'm going to remove those ones that are just having the modifiers. So this one is all right, this one, all good here. So we have those variations. Now we can move those ones. Awesome. Over here. Great. So let's check if each one has the origin at its base. So all good there. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to save it as another file. So trees clean, to have a copy of the skin one, so I can make more trees later on. Now, the front of the trees should be facing the -y. So in order to do that, I can simply press R, Z, and rotate them -90. So you see this branch should start facing that way there. So awesome. Now they are rotated the correct way. What I can do now, select all of them, Control A, and apply rotation. Now each of them, if we have a look at the transform, should have the rotations 0. So all good there. Now let's hide them. Let's do one more thing. So let's rename the object. So here we have pine green. So I'm pressing F2 to rename them basically. Pine green 2, pine snowy, pine snowy 2, pine dead snowy, pine dead snowy, pine dead 2. Yep, no, so let's call it pine dead snowy 2 just to be consistent. This is without snow, so this one will be pine dead. This will be pine dead snowy 3, and pine dead snowy 4. Awesome. So we have all of them. We have them rotated the correct way, and now time to export them. So this will be slightly different from what I shown in the last video, because when I posted the videos on Reddit, somebody suggested some improvements to my process, and we're going to go with them. So when we go to File, Export, and then FBX, what we're going to set here, first of all, you see again, I have selected only mesh, then I have the apply scaling set to FBX unit scale, then -F forward, then up is Y up. So all of those ones are as they were previously, only apply scales scalings was changed, and then those two checkboxes checked. And this is how the post on Reddit suggested it, but unfortunately I've seen that the models are still rotated 90 degrees. So what I'm going to do, I'm still going to apply transform, because I think this is the way it supposed to work. I press the export FBX, I click right mouse button in Unity, import new asset, look for the trees clean. Yay, we have them here. And I drag and drop them. And you see, they look all right. They have the right scaling and everything as expected. Let's have a look at their rotation. So you see each rotation of the individual one is all right. And that is awesome. So now you see they're all packed as one prefab within a container. So what we can do, we can press right, prefab, unpack, and now they became just regular models. And what we can do now, we can create new folder. So, I already have folder for assets, so let's remove it. And let's just drag and drop them here. And we have beautiful prefabs of our tree. So we can now remove this one. And if we want, we can also think about changing the materials, but just to basically to do not keep you here too long, I will just change it for maybe one with snow. So let's drag this pine with snow over here. And basically you see the materials from Blender, basically only the base color is moved. So basically we set them to not be shiny, but they are still shiny. So if we have a look here, you see the smoothness is set to half. So what we can do, we can create another folder for materials. And then first one will be our material for snow. So material, snow. Let's just drag and drop it over here. We already see the color changed, so now we can just adjust everything the way we want. Yeah, this looks a little bit too icy, so maybe over here. Yes, awesome. And it can be a little bit smooth and shiny, so it's all right. Now let's create another one for the tree trunk. For this one, let's drag and drop it here. Then adjust the color, make it not smooth, and that will do it. I think that looks pretty okay. And let's make another one for the needles. I just realized I think I was all the time saying leaves for pine tree. Leaves. Never mind. Okay, so needles or pine needles. Awesome. So now we have it over here. Bunk, drag and drop, and we can change the color to something like that. I think will be all right. And let's make it not smooth, so rough. And that will be it. So now what we just need to overwrite the materials, and this will be fine. Just we need to repeat the process for all the trees and we'll be ready to go. So I hope you found this tutorial useful. Please let me know if you're interested in seeing more Blender tutorials, especially in the context of game creation, game asset creations, and Unity. So have a fantastic day, love you, and bye bye!